Hey everyone, welcome back to American Perspective with your host, me, Noél Roberts here. And we're in Arizona, as you know, coming to you today after a couple amazing weeks. We were out in California last weekend. We're going to just touch on that a little bit today, but really we're going to save it for next week because we have a big show coming up next week for D-Day. And it's been a kind of a Veterans Month that we just spent celebrating for different occasions. And as always, the week itself has been very busy around the country. We haven't paid as much attention because we were traveling, although I did catch a lot this last few days. And as usual, there is so much happening to bring you. What I wanted to talk about first today, as I always bring you news at the top of the show hour before we talk with our guest, which is going to be an amazing guest today, by the way, is, I said we were dealing a lot with veterans this last month, and it's was an amazing military appreciation month for the month of May. So that's why there are so many events highlighting our wonderful heroes and our veterans fallen and who are still with us. And I wanted to go over that a little bit today before we do our D-Day show next week. So instead of the news in different various sectors of our country, I really wanted to focus on the military because of what we just experienced over the month of May. And we had May 17th was Armed Forces Day, and we went to San Diego for that. We live streamed. I hope you caught some of that on whether it was Arizona Live Data, on my channels at Patriot_Mom007, or let's see, California Live Data, San Diego and Chula Vista Live Data. All of the J Data channels were carrying it, as well as our friend Audra Morgan in California had with Eye of the Storm. And we were there for the Combat Veterans for Congress PAC. Retired Navy Captain Joseph John was our host. It was a beautiful event, a gala dinner, and they hosted several of our wounded warriors, two of our Medal of Honor recipients, who were just lovely to meet. And it was just a tribute night to them and also to the Combat Veterans for Congress. They were passing the chairman torch to the next chairman from Joseph John, who I hope one day we get to talk to on camera. I'll be bringing you some of that video and pictures later this week. Robert, my producer over there at Chula Vista, he has J Data and live streams many, many different events to you. He was there to help us out and to bring all of that to you. So he's been working furiously the last week to get those put together for you. It was a lot of content, and so we hope to have that to you soon. Please check out the channels for that. And then, of course, we just had Memorial Weekend this last weekend on May 26th. It was Memorial Day. I work with WritersUSA.net here in Arizona. I'm on their board, and we have a lot of veterans also in that organization. So we do focus a lot of our efforts on our veterans here in Arizona. And we did our 19th annual Flags for Our Fallen event. We do that every year, and we do it at our National Memorial Veterans Cemetery here near Cave Creek, Arizona. It's on the north side of Phoenix where I live. And we're there all weekend. We were there from Friday through Monday this past weekend. We set up a large tent area. We bring flowers for people to take into the cemetery with them to visit their loved ones. And then on Monday, on Memorial Day, we do a nice tribute. We had one of our local school board moms, Madison Reed, came and sang the national anthem and some other beautiful songs. We'll be bringing that to you also as soon as I get some of that to post out. And it was just a gorgeous day. Both my uncles are buried at that cemetery, as well as so many friends, husbands and family members as well, who were there visiting them. They do quite a tribute inside the cemetery in that morning as well. And so I just wanted to just bring this to you because our veterans are so important. And after the holidays end, oftentimes they get forgotten until, I don't know, July 4th or, the next veteran holiday. But I always try to say it's so important if you know a veteran, have known a veteran, a neighbor, a friend, coworker's father, that you always remember them throughout the year. It's not about the holidays. It's about what they've given their whole lives towards, which is service to us in our country. And so many of them we see, and you see the commercials, the Wounded Warrior commercials, and so many of them have given so much more than just their service and their time, which in itself itself is so much, but their limbs, right? Their lives, some of them come back with PTSD and they suffer with that for many, many years in the future. So we always want to remember them just on the holidays and throughout the year. And what we're going to do today is we're talking about that before we bring our guest on. And our first graphic we have, let's see, Robert, let's bring that up. So it is Military Appreciation Month. If you didn't know, in May, today is our last day of May, I guess. And so here we are. And if we want to bring that first one up, Robert, we can go into, yeah, there we go. So there's Military Appreciation Month. It's all of our branches, right? And so we're going to be going through our VA Secretary, Doug Collins, who also served in our government in multiple capacities and as a chaplain, actually, with the U.S. Air Force Reserve, which I did not know until recently. He's been very busy with our VA since he was appointed by President Trump to try to overhaul in as many ways he can to help bring assistance to our vets, really. And so we're going to bring up number 2, Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman in the great state of Texas. She's always fun to review because it doesn't matter what the topic is, apparently. So I don't know if you guys can zoom. I don't know if we'll be able to zoom in on this or not, but I'm gonna let you know what it says. So she actually wrote out on an X post, Trump cut staffing at the VA and now Dallas vets are waiting months for care. Surgeries are being delayed, vets are being left without mental health care, and so on and so forth. So our VA Secretary, Doug Collins, wrote back to her and says, if you have a VA problem, Congresswoman, please let us know and we'll fix it. Otherwise, please stop lying about the department as it discourages veterans from getting help. And we checked with the Dallas VA Medical Center. They said the wait times are normal. Veterans are getting the mental health care they need and surgeries are not delayed. So I just want to bring that to the point that the other side always seems to find ways of lying about really whatever it is. Now, this is with our veterans. So this is very, I would say, even more important than some of the other lies she spins often, because when you're impeding people getting the help that they need or scaring them into thinking that it's not available, that is more shameful than even her normal shameful outbursts. But that's not the case. And Doug Collins set that right. I'm glad he actually made a note to her back directly to address it. And he's actually calling for an investigation. She's calling for an investigation. So I think he's going to welcome that, and he'll continue to answer back to her lies and untruths, misinformation, disinformation, as they like to call it. And then we also have Doug Collins actually in a hearing, which this is about our Senator Ruben Gallego here in Arizona. So I did find this interesting because he says this.
One right now. Right now, our chief financial officer, our lead, our general counsel, and our national cemeteries undersecretary are being held up in the Senate. These are 3 veterans who have all served. One who is going to be Sam Brown, who's going to be head of our mortuary affairs, our cemeteries, gave some of his own body to the service of this country after being blown up, and yet is right now being held hostage in the United States Senate by the same people who actually want to say, we want you to hire veterans and not fire veterans. Well, now I just got a sense, and I've told the senators this as well, it's time to stop that. If you want to hire veterans, and I got 3 of them that need to be approved and need to get on the job working for veterans. So when you say I have a CFO, I don't have one because I can't get the Senate to approve them. So don't tell me they want to help veterans when they got 3 of them sitting right there, one who was grievously injured in wartime that they refused to approve. That's what I'm dealing with right now.
So Senator Ruben Gallego out here in Arizona, he actually just ascended to senator in the last race, and we hope he doesn't stay very long. He actually blocked the 3 political veteran appointees that has been put forth, and saying that they are going to fire 83,000 VA employees, thousands of which will be veterans. And facts are, actually, I did some research, so I hope Ruben Gallego, as our senator, will also do the research when it comes down to it. They actually have fired about 2,400 employees from the VA, and that's in 2025 year. The terminations have primarily targeted non-critical probationary employees, such as those in public relations, interior design, diversity, equity, inclusion roles, rather than any mission-critical healthcare staff. Their goal is about 80,000, but just so you guys know, 80,000 might sound like a lot. We have 475,000 current VA employees. So we'll still have about 400,000 VA employees left. And I just feel like all of these lies that they talk about to somehow prove that we're not standing up for our veterans, it's so infuriating to me, because I know Doug Collins, coming out of the service himself. I mean, my gosh, he was a chaplain with the Air Force Reserve. We really need to refocus on what's the facts are and what's really being done to help them. And then also we have, let's see, what else do we have one more there, Robert? We do. We have one more. About lies, actually, with Doug Collins again. I mean, they're just hitting him. And this is just a graphic I wanted to bring up, because what they're talking about is the clinics that aren't servicing our vets. And actually, if you can see this, so many clinics have actually been opened since just January 20th, Inauguration Day 2025. And here's a few of them in Colorado, New York, Virginia, and Montana. So, I mean, across the country, it's not even centralized in one part of our country. So that's happening too. And the vets are getting the help they need, maybe not as fast as they need. I will say that there probably is some delays. There have been for years. And I'm sure that with everything else they're trying to correct in our government efficiency systems, which we find are broken down, it is going to take a little bit of time. It's only been a 5-month period that they've had the torch. And so I think we need to always give them a little bit of grace and understand that they are working towards the best scenario for our veterans and to get them the help they need. I hope that we will be hearing maybe from some of our veterans soon. Actually, next week, we probably will hear from some of them for D-Day. And maybe we can ask them if they know of any advancements, or if they have friends that are experiencing any issues. Because if there's issues, of course, we want to bring that to you as well. But from what my research shows, they are making positive steps at the VA and through Secretary Collins to improve that for our veterans. And that's really what I wanted to bring up. We also have one more video from Doug Collins. I'm going to let him tell you this because of the events we just experienced in the holidays and our tributes to our vets. So let's hear what he has to say about that.
Or when you think about those who gave that ultimate sacrifice, when you think about the families who are home, I remember being when I was in Iraq and I was having to work and we would lose folks in the hospital and sending them home. What I was thinking about was the families who were now without. So today on this Memorial Day, not only do we remember those who gave that last full measure of devotion, but remember today as you go about your life that there are some who are still looking at an empty chair. They're looking at a visit or someone that they would pick up the phone and talk to that they no longer can. It's about those who gave that sacrifice that we remember today, because our country is built on the shoulders of those who gave for us. I did, when you think about it.
That's right. So we talked about this when I was at our Writers USA event last week for Flags for Our Fallen. Actually, one of our representatives, Matt Gress, here in Arizona, he always comes out to support us in person, and he was there again this year. And we both mentioned there's a video up. Actually, you can find it on Facebook, Patriot_Mom007 with Matt Gress, that, you know, people do suffer long term after our wars end. We know we're never in a war, but they're always fighting overseas for us, which is also ironic, right? But we're not in a war. But our men come home injured and hurt for years, and some of them not surviving. You know, 13 service members in Afghanistan. We saw that happen a couple of years ago under the Biden administration. They lost their lives in not a war. And the people who are left here behind, the fallen heroes, and for the military servicemen and women who gave their lives, we always just want to honor them, remember them, thank their families, most of all, who have lost them forever, who will have empty chairs for the rest of their lives. So Doug Collins, we think you're doing a great job. I think you're doing a good job from what I've researched. Everybody else is lying about you, at least Ruben Gallego not being 100% truthful. He's also a veteran, by the way, just so you know, and Jasmine Crockett. They don't seem seem to be following as closely as they should what the facts really are. And so with that, that's our news today. Honestly, thank you, veterans, for doing what you do. Thank you for your time, your consideration of us, fighting for us in countries that you've never been, with horrible conditions sometimes, not knowing what's going to happen the next day to you, where you're going to be, or who's around the corner, or if bombs are going to drop on you. Honestly, that is what the bottom line is they are under attack when they are in foreign countries. So thank you very much. And I hope you all had a really great Memorial weekend and a beautiful Memorial holiday, remembering our fallen heroes and those who are still serving. And with that, before we bring on our guest and read his bio to you and let you know who that is, we're going to do our quick Mycronic Silver. I do like to talk about them. And we have a little video with that today. So let's bring that on.
Been used for centuries.
Perfect. So looking for a powerful, all-natural way to support your health? Before antibiotics, silver was the go-to remedy for fighting bacteria, viruses, and fungus, and now scientists are turning back to silver to help combat today's superbugs. That's where Mycronic Silver comes in. With cutting-edge, organically stabilized technology, Mycronic Silver outperforms traditional colloidal, ionic, and nano silvers. It works with your immune system, targets harmful microbes, and leaves your good bacteria untouched. Plus, it stays active in your body for up to 10 hours, longer than any other silver products. Visit mychronicsilver.net to learn more and read real customer stories. So with that, we are going to... And I highly recommend you get on mychronicsilver.net. You know, I use their products now for about 6 months. I cannot recommend them enough. You do need to try them for yourself and see which ones work, but mychronicsilver.net is a great place to start, and you can check out those products you just saw and all of the others that they have to offer. So I wanted to let Sorry, guys. I guess I was muted there for a second. Oh, I'm back. So Dr. Khanna is our guest today on American Perspective. He's a distinguished child welfare advocate. He's a legal expert and founder of Voice of the Kids Foundation and Returning Youth Initiative. Dr. Khanna has dedicated his career to transforming juvenile justice and child welfare systems, helping vulnerable and post-incarcerated youth reintegrate into society. Through Returning Youth Initiative, he empowers young adults with life skills, education, and employment opportunities, partnering with communities and justice organizations nationwide. So I highly recommend, please go to returningyouth.com. You can find this all in the descriptions on my show links at Patriot_Mom007. And with that, I would like to welcome to our show today on American Perspective, Dr. Khanna. Hello, there he is. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
And thank you, as you all started with recognizing all the veterans. I think May is also a very important month for veterans. So I would like to really honor them, respect them, and recognize them. And also, since you brought up the organization I founded and started for the young adults, May is also proclaimed since 2020 as Returning Youth Month. The entire month of May starts from May 4th till June 4th is recognized as Returning Youth Month. That means all the young adults, those who are coming out of jail, came out of jail, and going back to the community, it's the month for them to recognize. And this is no better time to recognize all the veterans and the young people around the country. Thank you for having me here.
Of course. Well, your work is so important. And the more I learn about you, we did have a couple opportunities to speak before the show this last week. And our friend Diana Starr in Kentucky. So she's with the Republican women out there. I had her on several weeks ago on the show. She's always up to a lot around town, in your side of town. I know you live on the east side. You're on the west side today, actually. And so we appreciate you going bi-coastal and then still having time to join us, because I know you're flying out today as well. So I I appreciate you squeezing us in because I understand travel is always a hard time to actually get anything else done when you're catching planes. But Diana was gracious enough to introduce us, and I know she's doing a lot of work with you. So I wanted you to first just share with us and our audience what inspired you to become a child welfare advocate and start the foundations.
Well, thank you for this wonderful question. Actually, the main thing that encouraged me to start, because we all talk about juvenile justice, we talk about recidivism, and we talk about young people, empowering the young people, empowering the young adults, empowering youths, but we just say it. We really do not give them enough swimming length so that they can survive, they can prosper. So that's where it started, because I had a young adult. I was advocating him. He was in trouble. He was sentenced for 18 months. And that inspired me, because it is not needed that all he did was, very small, minor mistake, but our juvenile system is in such that the person has to go through 18 months jail time and all this. So I fought with the judge and said, how about if I oversee him from my law firm? So I used that platform to oversee him for 18 months. Regularly, he started working for my law firm as a legal assistant. He was wonderful. Only on the weekends, he has to go back to the jail. So during that time, I found out that a lot of that age group, especially I think he was like a 19 years old or 20 years old. That's when it inspired me to talk about the young adults. But prior to that, I started the Voice of the Kids. That means most of the kids today, they don't have a voice. Because we, as an adults, we submissive them. We tell them, oh, you don't have experience. We have more experience than you. But let's not forget that every person has something to contribute in our life. Every person. Whether it is a 1-year-old child or 100-year-old man. Everybody has something to contribute. And without understanding their voice, without what they're going through, we kind of seclude them. And then we blame them. If something happens in the community, then we blame them. Like earlier this morning when you and me were talking, Noel, we said that in order to raise a child, it needs a village. But where is the village?
That's right.
We don't have the village anymore. The neighbor does not know who his next door neighbor is. So that's how I started. I really want, I still have the dream, maybe this is why we got connected, that the podcast, the news which you are creating, this would be more a positive podcast to recognize all these young men and women, what they're doing good. But if you open up the TV, any channel, doesn't matter, they all talk about murder, accident, all the bad things these young people are doing or somebody is doing, all bad things. Let's not forget, with the bad things, good things are also happening in the community. Does anybody highlight that? Nobody. That's why I wanted to create a village. I wanted to create a village or community, and we take as a model. And that is the Reformation. That's where we can prove the country that yes, if we bring positivity in the community, if we talk all about positivity, righteousness, then everybody in that community, whether it is 3,000 people or 7,000 people or 6 million people in New York City, doesn't matter. The
Right.
positive has more value than negativity.
That's right. You're right. I mean, nowadays we see well in Arizona especially. So it's hot here, right? And I've been here over 25 years. And I grew up though in Oregon in a small cul-de-sac. We all had cul-de-sacs back then, the way they built the houses. And so we knew everyone all the way around, and we were on the bus, the school bus, and we knew the next neighborhood. We even knew the next behind us, the neighborhood behind us. We would walk and see family and or friends. We would be at the houses after school. We all played together every day till dinner time. We were outside. Everyone knew the parents. Our neighbors had keys to our house, and vice versa. If we got home and needed to get in the house, or just to go to their house next door and sit till our parents got home after school, we had that available to us automatically, honestly. And we did that from when I was 6 years old till the time, out as a young adult. And so when I moved here, it was so different because everyone in Arizona, and I'm sure it's like this across the country now, they come in, you see them, they just go right into the garage. They open the garage before they get to the house. Well, back in the day too, we had manual garage doors. So you had to get out of the car to open the garage, right? But now they just dart in, shut the garage before they even get out of the car, and then they go in their house. I'm lucky. I do know a lot of neighbors. I make the effort because with my kids, I wanted them to have that sense of knowing the community and knowing even where they live now at their rental house. We do know the neighbors. We met them, the nice neighbors, and I want them to know who my boys are, that they're their neighbors. And if anything comes up, I want them to understand that the community is important as you're not just a child, but as an adult. The kids that you deal with as juvenile, they have issues when they're juveniles that sometimes are just out of their control. Some kids do get into trouble on purpose. Other kids, it's circumstantial, or they get talked into things, the peer pressure. I've actually seen that happen with my own kids, to tell you the truth. And we have gone through some of those circumstances when they were younger because of peer pressure. No, I wish they would known right from wrong at the moment, but kids are kids. And so it's nice to see that there are people like you and your foundation who are concentrating on the revitalization of their lives and to help them re-implement being out of the juvenile system, because I know here in Arizona, we have a terrible juvenile system, awful. And it's not pro-child. It's not even pro-parent. It's not pro-family at all, frankly. It's pro-agency. It's pro-lawyer, pro-guardian ad litem, pro-mediator. It's pro-prosecutor, but they do not really focus on helping the kids to the point they need. And so with your foundation, I know a lot of what you do and what I read, so tell me if I'm wrong, is you find not only resources, but mentors, which are so important, I think, today for kids, because they don't have a strong family foundation as they used to, or fathers in their lives. Tell me a little bit about that mentor program, because I want to touch on it when I send people to your website so they understand if they want to donate or get involved. I saw there's a get involved tab on there too. So let us know about that mentorship and what that looks like.
Well, thank you for touching that, because like I said, it takes a village to raise a child. So that's how the mentor program is, because I don't want online mentorship. I don't want Zoom mentorship. I want mentorship that can come from the local community. The people, those who really want to, not as a teacher, as a mentor, because most of the time, these young adults, they are not comfortable to talk to anybody, even to their own friends. All are busy with their phone texting, and all of a sudden they are trapped by some type of people, those who give them the, listening voice. So in our initiative, we are very picky in choosing mentors because we want to make sure that mentor has the time to listen, has to be a good listener, because today we do not spend time to listen to our young generation. We do not. We just push them aside because we think they don't know anything. But they need help. Every growing stage, like you brought up a point about this cul-de-sac thing. And this is not too long ago. I raised my older son in Philadelphia, in Northeast Philly, and we used to have block party every summer. So it would involve maybe 30 houses, 15 this side, 15 this side. And in that block, we close the block from morning to evening. We used to have block party. But in that block party, we invited other blocks too, so that everybody can mingle, everybody can know each other. So
So
it
important.
was important, exactly. And people used to, like you rightly said, that if somebody is running late from the work, their parents would to call their neighbor. Hey, are you home? My son is coming or my daughter is coming. Can they wait for me in your living room or in the backyard, whatever? Hey, perfect. That safety was there.
That's right.
And it's not too long ago. I'm not talking about in early 40s or 50s. I'm talking about 2000. Okay.
20 years ago. Yes.
It's only 20 years ago. We used to have that right during the 9/11, right after, during that period. And I want to bring that back. This is mentorship is a program that needs to be identified in each community where the young adults can feel comfortable with that mentor, where the mentor can guide and they can go back and bounce back ideas, bounce back. Mentors are not only for homework. Mentors are not only for basketball or baseball or in sports. Mentors are there when you have a downtime. So the mentors can guide you. You can go back. It's like, again, coming back to the point, voice of the voiceless. But today, what's happening? Today, what's happening in our system is when any young person in school or high school or middle school, they have some type of difficulties, they talk to their guidance counselor, they immediately send them to the nurse. And the nurse recommends some type of medicine. Oh, he's going through anxiety, or he's going through depression, or he's going through this. So take this drug and he will be fine. That's the entrance of chemical disbalance. They think by giving drugs, chemical balance will happen. No. And I watched your silver thing that you are promoting, that organic silver. And it is so important that people need to understand that our natural resources is important than taking drugs. Who does not go through anxiety? Who does not go through depression? Who does not go through, downtime? Everybody, every human being goes to that. That doesn't mean we have to take some chemicals,
That's so true.
Exactly. So that's what the mentor program is. And that's why I chose this path. I am very much big advocate of the child safety. I want to make sure that each and every children in our society, and society means US, are safe. They don't have to be fearful that they will be kidnapped, they will be missing. Do you know, Noel, how many missing children every day we have?
I want to say it's like around 4,000.
Exactly.
Actually. Right? Is that close? Am I close? Yeah, I heard that recently. I mean, we have a lot of obviously trafficking issues across the country, across the world, but Arizona is a hotbed because we are on the border. The cartels are right here, like literally at our doorstep. And they are not only, I was mentioned too, we have a lot of trafficking organizations on, some that I work with here in Arizona. And actually, Audra Morgan, I mentioned earlier in California, has Eye of the Storm. And she does a lot with trafficking and that issue because it's so prevalent. And it's not just kids being trafficked into our country. Like they show that the unaccompanied youth that are being brought in, and they are trafficked. But it's also in our country, kids are being trafficked by people they know every single day, and back and forth across the border as well. They're taking out the kids to the countries and within our country, American kids, and within all the countries, all the kids are trafficked in all the countries, and people don't think realize they see the unaccompanied minors and they think, oh, it's just those kids, or it's some of those kids. It's all of those kids, mostly actually. And that is such a big problem that I don't know how we're going to ever really tackle it. I know closing borders will help at least cut down that traffic. But within our country, there's so many bad actors and so many criminals in that element, the pedophiles and those that attack children. It's very disturbing that there are so many. I wanted to ask you too, in that vein, I mean, we do have the kids having a lot of these problems that they're facing with being in the gangs. You know, they're sought after by the gangs. Even in our grade schools now, the cartels come, they put the kids in the schools from their countries, and then they actually try to engage the other students that they're going to school with to enlist them into the gang. So they have that problem. We have the peer pressure. But from your perspective, working with the kids, what are some, do you think, of the biggest challenges that the kids in the juvenile system are facing that you run across personally and can share with us?
Well, my experience is juvenile system. The reason we have juvenile system so that they can get reformed, but they really do not get reformed. Whether they're there for 6 months or 6 years or 16 years, the whole purpose of juvenile system should be their reformation. But reformation is not done. Rather, they have been more traumatized inside the system because the people, those who are taking care of these juveniles, they're not properly trained. And you brought up the mentorship. They're not properly mentoring these juveniles. And one thing that is lacking today in our country, and I emphasize this over and over, and don't think that I am trying to, preach on religion things. No, it is about spirituality. These young people, starting from the birth till they're 100 years old, they are not properly told that everybody has a purpose in this life, in this country. They have a purpose, and that purpose is given by God. So we are all God's children. We do not teach them that. We do not teach them moral values that comes from Bible or any other religious scripture we call Gita or we call Quran, okay, or Torah. Every religious books are treated as a mythology, but they are not mythology. They are a manual to teach moral values. They don't have, they forget about the moral values. They don't know, they think that, we came out of an apple by chance, and we are here by chance, okay? Everything is happening by chance, okay? So that's why it is okay to kill each other. It is okay to hate each other. It is okay to be punished. And after punished, it is okay to keep on punishing so that the person can be destroyed. This is the mindset that needs to be taken out. And that's the reason why you saw my background. That's the reason why I want to be positioned in the US Supreme Court. That's why Diana Starr Kevin, Kevin Allen, and all these people are helping me. Now I really appreciate that you asked me to come to this. But my message is that people, please wake up. Please take accountability of your own path, because God has given us the path. God has given us this country. This is the most wonderful country in the earth that God created this through our founding fathers. Because this is the only country, if anybody looks at the dollar bill, this is the only country in the dollar bill written, God in we trust. What does that mean? What does that mean? God in we trust. No other currency in the world has that. No other currency in the world has that. God in we trust.
That is very
Okay.
true. You bring a good point. And God is a big focus of our country. And we see what's happening today too. The kids are confused, I'm sure, to have any guiding light and purpose because of all of the hatred, right? Whether you're Christian, and I always say, so I'm Christian Orthodox. So my family's from the Middle East. And so there's Muslims and there's Christians. People think they're always fighting. They're not. I've been to Syria, and they're in separate villages, but then in the common areas they're together. It's fine. I mean, until the war started, right? And we kind of started that. So we have no one else to blame but ourselves there. And then they destroyed the country. But the kids, they don't have anything. They don't have fathers. They don't have strong families. They don't have parents maybe that stay together. And then to see people persecuted for their religion openly every single day on our TVs here in America, I'm sure that some of them think, oh, I don't want to even look into that because of look what would happen to me. And so then they have nowhere to go, and they don't have spiritual guidance, emotional guidance, support of the family. And I'm sure the kids that you deal with primarily, I'm curious about that. Are they a particular more a demographic in this country, or are they just across the board, all different ethnicities and races and cultures that you see in your system that you're trying to help?
All different ethnicity, all different. And what my role is, this is the uniqueness. I said that, yes, we are faith-based organization. And what does faith-based means? Sometimes people say, oh, are you Christian? Are you Hindu? Are you Muslim? Are you Jewish? I say yes to everything. So, oh, what do you follow? I said, I follow God. Oh, do you follow Jesus Christ? I said, of course I do. Because the humanity comes from Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ came as a human being to teach us how to love each other, not to hate each other. So,
right.
Follower of Jesus Christ are called Christians. I know you brought up Orthodox Christian, and there are so many denominations of Christians are there. Why? Are you really, if you are really a follower of Jesus Christ, then you are Christian. But are you really following it? Or are you doing just more rituals? Who says the Bible, who does say the Bible only belongs to one sector of people? Anybody can read Bible, because Bible is a manual that gives moral teachings. Similarly, all the scriptures, it gives you the moral teachings. How to behave within your community, how to help each other, how to respect each other. This is exactly what I do with our young adults, because they are like the clay pot. That's the age when you can really start shaping them up. And if you confuse them, and most of the kids today, you do not see the kids in the church or a temple or a mosque nowadays. They are promoting youth programs. Why? In order to attract them. They don't want to get to them because they don't want to be confused. So it's very important that we teach our teach our citizens everything righteously. And that's the reason, again, I want to be with the blessings because God has called me for doing that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be that passionate. Everything has a purpose. And my
It's
purpose is
true.
to make sure I give the proper teachings to the citizens of the United States. And that basis is God. Without God, without the Bible, without Jesus Christ, the country is going to fall apart. And we are seeing it is falling apart.
It is falling apart. We have noticed there's so many aspects of it that are just crumbling in front of us. And these small groups of people that are allowed to hijack, you and I spoke of this, it's 90-10. They say it's 80-20 issue. They talk about the issues, but it's really, you mentioned to me 90-10. 90% of the people think one way, 10% think the opposite negatively. And those 10%, I don't know how they're so organized compared to the 90, but they are. And I guess they put a lot of money behind them. And so they drive these narratives of death and destruction of our nation, of the nuclear families dissolving, trying to dissolve them with all of the nonsense that they throw in with, now we can talk about the transgender, the schools. I sit on a school board here, a charter school, and we're a non-woke school, 100%. We would never allow either boys or girls in the opposite bathrooms. That was something we decided right long before the executive order came out this year to stop all of that. We were already deciding that is not okay with us, with our kids, K-8. I mean, these poor children, they have no understanding of normalcy in their lives when they're seeing kids dressed as bears or cats or have, oh my gosh, when they were letting the kids drink from animal bowls in the classroom to accommodate, right, their weirdness, driven by the parents, right? We as parents, you're a parent, I'm a parent. We talked earlier, our kids are grown in their early 20s now, but it's always up to the parent. And I know some parents aren't as capable as parenting as others for drugs, societal, socioeconomical reasons. I understand that there are these issues and they do struggle, but with your communities and what you've built, I do want to mention too, I want you to let everyone know, if they go to returningyouth.com, we just had the website up, how can people get involved to either support what you're doing, the reforms you're trying to establish, and also just to protect their children, or if they want to get involved, I see the Get Involved tab up top there, to help. Like what are the best ways for people to get involved in this circumstance?
Well, very easy to get involved by have a positive mindset, that twofold things that this initiative offers. One is voice of the voiceless. That means we are there to advocate their voice to wherever it needs to be. And then second, we are there to support you to make sure that the community, the society, they accept you. They don't reject you. And the reason I bring up God here, because God is the glue. If we have this system all over this world, but let's focus on US. We have a lot of single parents, or we have a lot of kids, those who don't have any parents. Well, those kids especially needs to be taught that even if they don't have their biological parents, they do have God as their father. So they are always overseen by God. So they need to understand that. They need to have that teaching. And that's exactly what our wonderful country, 250 years, it will be 250 years next year. In this 249 years, our founding fathers started our executive branch and judicial branch, two different things because of this. So that the 10% of political people, those who are trying to rule the 90% of the citizens, do not get overdrawn, because Supreme Court of the United States the justice's role is to make sure each and every citizens of the United States, they understand the moral values. Do you know, Noel, if you go to Supreme Court of United States in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to bring this up because I want public to understand that there is a statue of Moses holding two plaques, along with other things on the top of the Supreme Court building. That two plaques are the Bible's 10 commandments. The two plaques. So our Constitution, US Constitution, was written by the Founding Fathers based on those two plaques, based on the 10 commandments. Yes, but where did that go? It is there in the front of the Supreme Court. And the justices are supposed to uphold the Supreme Court, the Constitution. So what I am planning, and there is another website called KhannaForUSSupremeCourt.com, where you can see that what I am planning to do, and I'm very determined that God calling, I will be there. Trump will hear me and he will put me there, because what I want to do, I want to change the platform, just like what the current president is doing, changing the platform. I want the justices, the 9 justices of the United States, along with me, to be available to each and every young person. I just witnessed a kindergarten graduation. I think I shared with you yesterday about that. Kindergarten graduation. I have never heard of it because my kids did not go to private school. And when I also grew up in India, in my kindergarten, I remember my kindergarten, but we did not have this graduation ceremony where they have a cap and gown, they come in the wall, they get their diplomas. These 5 years old, 4, 5, 6 years old kindergartens, they're graduating to step into grade school, 1st to 12, right? And this kindergarten graduation, those are so cute. And they have been told so nicely. Why this is not advertised? Why this news is not there in CNN, ABC, NBC? Why? You know why? Because it's not important.
Right. It's not. You're
So
very right.
When I become the justice, I want to be present in each and every graduation of the kindergarten. It is very important for the judicial system to understand they have to be a friend with the community. They don't have to be fearful. Can you call any of these justices, 9 justices right now, and ask them to come for the podcast? No.
No, you cannot. Although I did see Roberts recently do an interview, which I always find interesting because they are supposed to stay pretty neutral. So I don't even understand how they can do interviews, because obviously they're not going to be neutral with their opinions. I do find that interesting. And maybe they shouldn't do interviews. Maybe they should just keep it neutral once they're there, or at least not offer their hard opinions, because I know that as a person, and I've unfortunately dealt with a lot of judges here in Arizona, different juvenile, family, just all the different courts. They're people. And what do you expect? They're supposed to be neutral, but they are people, they're human. If they have a bad day, if in family court, if you have a male judge, what if his wife yelled at him on the way out the door and then he takes it out on the female plaintiff? I mean, it happens, or, like, you just don't know what they're affected by. So it's interesting. I found, we did just put your website up too for the Supreme Court, that, you would be seeking that. And what do you think the chances are? I mean, we've got a few that I can't imagine they're going to retire. Nobody wants to retire from that. But how do you think that would play out even in the next maybe 8 years or so? Is that a possibility?
Absolutely, it's a possibility. You know why? Because I left it on God. God called me to be there, because this is a very untraditional path I'm taking. Normally, it has been picked up by the president, who he knows. But here, I want to be known by the public that this is what my platform is going to do. You brought up a good point about being neutral when you are in a justice system, because you need to be no party. Okay, so your opinion, I understand you, we are human beings, we have opinions, but we need to be trained in our mind in such a way that we are not talking anything but righteousness, we are not talking anything but the Constitution. If this party does wrong with the Constitution, they need to be told. If the other party does wrong with the Constitution, they need to be told. So it is not politics, it is Constitution based justice system. So I just don't
Yes.
understand whether it is the judges, when they have a bad day. I understand, yes, you had a bad day, like you brought it up. Okay, on the way out, you had a fight with your spouse or fight with your children, and you come and show that on your. How fair that is? It's not
Right.
fair at all.
It's not fair. And speaking of the legislators, I mean, even not just the Supreme Court, because they do play a specific role in our systems, but the other policymakers across the states, whether it's the Child Protective Services, which I find that to be a hilarious name because I've also dealt with CPS out here. Unfortunately, years ago, my kids are 20 and 23, but we did have a little go around with them for about 11 months. They're not the child protective. It's not protective at all. They're actually anti-children. They're trafficking. They actually have claims of trafficking here in Arizona against our CPS divisions. And not to say all of them are bad, but they definitely are not all good. And so where do you think the role is of our policymakers, whether it's in the House, the Senate, the state level, our CPS divisions, to get involved to protect our children nationwide? What do you think needs to happen? Is it a federal agency that needs to oversee everyone and really get them in line? Or do you think this can go state by state to get this corrected for our children's sake?
It should go local. It should go local, community by community. Like you just brought it up, which we spoke early this morning, that 10% versus 90%. We cannot give our entire country's fate based on this 10% politicians. We have to depend upon 90% local people. So all these agencies, the CPS, the whatever, juvenile justice, everything that can be reformed if the 90% people, they take the accountability of their own community. That's why localization is very important. Empowering the local people is important, not empowering the governor, empowering the senator, empowering the legislature. Empowering the local people is important.
Right.
So,
And your organization too, I want to say, tell me where your organization is based out of.
New York,
New York.
Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's a large population. I mean, what's happening in the East Coast? Well, I mean, as you're talking per capita and the kids in that area, I mean, it's a highly concentrated area. And the cities and whatnot, here in Arizona, it's just spread out. So we have a couple cities, but then everything else is very widespread. So for geography and per capita. But you also have a lot of problems too for the kids. You do have the gangs right now popping up. And you do have the issues we see on TV, the kids on the streets, punching people, carjacking people, I suppose mostly gang related activities. Do you do a lot with the gang related activities? Is that a lot of
Yes, we
what?
do. Yes, we do. And that's why I brought it up, that the only way means I advocated this to there is a non-profit organization that is backed by the local New York City agency called Gun Prevention something. Well, that's not what to do. This media, you just brought it up of the media. You look at all these things. We need to stop this media from advocating, advertising only bad things. We need to have media focusing on positive things. A paradigm shift has to be done. That's why I'm encouraging that some TV stations, some radio stations can partner with us so that we can create a channel, just like how you are doing in podcast. We create a channel that talks only about positive things, empowering the young people, empowering the old people, empowering the business locally, because people needs to start looking at positive things, not only negative things. Again, 10%, 90%. 10%, I would say less than 10%, 5% or 2% negative things happens every day. But other 95, 98% good things are happening every day in the local community. That needs to be highlighted. So we got to empower the local community people. That's the reason why this mission, what the current administration is doing, localizing it, is very important. That's the reason why United States is important. And I said this, and you asked me that, how confident are you? You know what? I am very confident. I've been telling this because I have the biggest power with me. And you know what that biggest power is? Faith in God. I am a quadruple trillion-dollar person because God is my bank. I don't need, Chase Bank. I don't need Bank of America. I need Bank of God. Okay? That's what I have. I don't go with AI. I go with GI. That means God's intelligence. I go with God.
Let's
Okay?
hashtag that GI, God's intelligence. That should be the new
And
one, right?
that's why I love what you are doing. You and and Robert, what you guys are doing, this is amazing. This podcast should be done in every community. Do you know how many? In my website, it's said, in returning of the website, how many counties are there in this country? 3,142 counties. And I want to be there in all the 3,142 counties. And we want this type of positive masses to go so that these people can get empowered. Forget about parties. That's their job. The political party's job is to shake people. It's always been there. It is time memorial. Before Jesus Christ was there, after Jesus Christ is also there. But Jesus Christ came for 33 years to shake it, to reestablish the thing. And I'm glad that you also, have the family that has a multiple cultural background, which this country was built with.
Right.
This country was built with moral values. We got to bring this back.
And it was built on with all the cultures, I do want to touch on what you said that. So I am first generation born. My parents, my father's from Syria, as all my relatives are. And so having that background, that history, that culture that, people say, well, you don't want anyone coming to America, but really it's not that at all. All my relatives came to America on the boat. They all got their citizenship. They all had jobs. They had sponsors back then, actual sponsors, not pretend sponsors. And they made lives for themselves and our families, and they thrived. And I know so many people that have done that. And so we always do want to encourage others from other countries coming. We just want them like yourself. Look at you, how productive you've been, what you've given back to the communities where you are, to our nation, really, and the initiatives that you've created for the youth of America, even though you're not from America. And that has to be emphasized, that anyone can come, but you have to contribute positively, whether it's to the children or in your community in some respect. You cannot come with gangs. You cannot come to bring crime or to enlist the kids of our society, whether they're U.S. citizen children or whether they have been brought here, you cannot enlist them to commit crimes or in the gangs and put them in those positions, the trafficking. And so we do want to highlight returningyouth.com. I want to bring that up again. Your website, I recommend and encourage people to go there to get involved with organizations like Dr. Khanna's, also his Facebook and Instagram at Returning Youth Initiative. And then do you have an X account? Because the one I have for you is at Montana_RYWI, but I don't know if that's the right one for X. So if you do have one, let us know. We'll put that up in the descriptions too. But is there anything else too? Before we let you go, we can talk forever, I'm sure. And I want you to come back and share what you're doing as you go. If you have projects coming up, I think you might. I hear on the other side of the country, there might be some things happening that you might be involved with. Anything you want to share with that now, or maybe you come back on and let us know what's going on in those areas?
Like I said, I want to be present in all the 3,142 counties. And you brought it up a good point that the gangs, the wrong people coming to our country, they can come to our country. But if if all these 3,142 counties are powerful, then they're not going to have any gangs comes. They will not have any crime happens. So where will those people will go? We don't need Homeland Security. We don't need a bunch of immigration officers and all those things. We don't need them. We need to make our local people powerful. We need to empower the local people. We cannot say that, oh, let's build the wall because no. If you build the wall, they will come. Somehow they will come in. They'll create
in the tunnels.
They'll come.
They will come in the tunnels, right? As we've seen.
Right. But if they come to your community and everybody gangs on them and say, hey, you are not allowed here. Go to the next county. And that county said, no, you're not here. So where will they go? They will go to somewhere else, but not in United States. We got to keep United States safe, powerful, because this is one of the most attractive country where everybody comes here. Everybody for last 4 to 6 generations, people came here and made this country what we say. US is what? Is a land of freedom and land of brave.
Opportunity and the home of the brave. Yes.
Okay. So that's why before I leave, my only message is that because God was not reestablished here, everybody thought that, oh, God is part of religion. That's why we cannot have in school, we cannot have here, we cannot have there, so we don't talk about God. Okay? No, that's the biggest mistake they have done, because God is the glue. God is the glue. There is a song which Diana can share with you. God is the glue is a song which one of my mentor, okay, I have a mentor too, who I know that person for last 40 years, okay, from Atlanta, Georgia. And he's a musician. As soon as I was talking just like here, we are talking about God. He said, wow, you said God is the glue? He immediately put a rap song on it and he sent it to me. He said, look, this is God, this is what it is. So what I'm trying to tell everybody, the message should be that we got to empower the local people. And that's what my mission is. And that's exactly what today's administration is trying to do. Okay. But they cannot do by themselves. They need the local people's support. And that's what I want to be. That's why I want to be in the Supreme Court, so that I can be their voice. I will not be sitting in the black robe in the glass room or whatever room. I'm not going to sit there. I will be there. You will be seeing me. Maybe you will travel with me as well, because you have this, nice, beautiful smile and face. We create a nice, podcast. We go everywhere. We sit with them. Which Supreme Court justice have done in last 250 years? Nobody. But I want to do it. I want to be with the public.
To reach everyone, yes. No, I understand
Yes.
exactly what you're saying. We would welcome working with you in any capacity. We love what you do. I think the youth is very important. I'm a criminal justice major, so from the criminal justice side of the world, that's where I view everything. And I'm pro criminal justice. I'm pro law enforcement. I do think there needs to be overhauls, certainly in the juvenile system first, because that is where it starts, and then they
Yep.
become adult criminals. The recidivism is very high, and so we want to catch them and help them get out of that system early on. That what you're doing with the mentors, with the programs, with the resources that you provide them, because ultimately, if we don't help them get out of that cycle, before they're adults, it's very difficult, and I know this to be true for a fact. It's very difficult, not because I was a criminal, but I do know several adults who went from juvenile criminals to adult criminals. It's hard to get out of the system. The system sucks you in. It's a money-making system. It's based on fines. It's based on fees. It's based on classes. It's based on all this financial obligation that they put the burdens on of the families of the children and as adults. And it's just this cycle they continue. It's how they stay in business, frankly, and the private prisons and all of that. So we thank you for this space that you're in, that you're working towards this. I know you have other projects happening. I'm sure of it. And I think you might be flying to one of them actually after our conversation over back on the other side of the country over there. And I wanted to ask you, the musician you mentioned, is that Forgiato, or who is that did that song that you mentioned?
Benny Tillman from
Oh,
Atlanta, Georgia.
okay, well, we'll have to look him up. I'm not familiar with the music, so we'll have to check that out as well.
And I will send you the link as well. God is the glue.
Please do. That would be lovely. Yeah, we'll definitely put that out. I'll attach that to all your information. So everyone, please, if you're here today or if you're going to watch this later, returningyouth.com, please check out Dr. Khanna's organization, his foundation for the kids. Try to get involved, whether it's through donations, whether you volunteer to be a mentor in your area if they need someone where you're at, or in another capacity. There's so many ways you can get involved to help children in your community. As he mentioned, it is important that we start at the local level, which equals national impact. I've heard somebody say, General Flynn, once or twice. And so we do need to start small to make that ripple effect bigger across the communities, right? Locally, the state, and then our country. Ultimately, it does take a lot of lifting. It's not an easy job. It's not going to happen overnight, but small steps like these and that Dr. Khan has taken are so important. So we just want to thank you today for being on American Perspective with me, and to have our audience hear what you're doing. And we hope to, obviously we'll be in touch. I know we will. And to have you back again whenever you would like to share something.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me there, and have a blessed day. Check it out. Like I said, this is a Returning Youth Month. So please try to encourage the youth and empower them. They're the building blocks of this country. Thank you again.
Excellent. And have a beautiful flight too. Very safety, speed, and hopefully no issues at the airport. That's happening also these days with delays. So we hope you get there safely and quickly, and say hi to our friend Diana when you arrive later today.
I will definitely do that.
Excellent. So right now, you guys, we're going to finish up the show today. We always have, of course, our MAGA Minute to share with you. I actually am going to catch up too, because I have been traveling and I'm not even sure all the stuff that I've missed. So let's roll that right now and give you the wrap up on the week with Carolyn Levitt.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. It was another very busy week here at the White House with President Trump. Let's go through it for the MAGA Minute. This week, President Trump visited Capitol Hill to bring the historic One Big Beautiful Bill over the finish line. This bill is going to put more money back in your pockets. It's going to keep your communities safe, deliver the largest middle-class tax cut in American history, fund deportations and the completion of the border wall, and it's going to kick 1.4 million illegal aliens off of your taxpayer-funded benefits. Also on the legislative front, the president signed the First Lady's sponsored Take It Down Act, ensuring protections for young people who are targets of malicious deepfakes and personal attacks on social media. President Trump also attended the Make America Healthy Again Commission's release of its landmark report, which exposes key factors contributing to childhood chronic diseases and points to a path forward to make our children healthy again. The president hosted the White House's annual Take Our Sons and Daughters to Work Day celebration. President Trump also announced an implementation plan for the Golden Dome to protect our nation from wide-ranging global missile threats. He also hosted the South African president at the White House and signed executive orders to start a nuclear renaissance in the United States. The president also hosted a law enforcement event in the Oval Office and awarded the first ever Medals of Sacrifice to 3 heroic police officers. And finally, gas prices have dropped this Memorial Day to their lowest price in more than 20 years. You're welcome, America. Wishing you a blessed Memorial Day weekend, and we will see you for next week's MAGA Minute.
Okay, you're welcome, America. Thank you, President Trump. Gas prices are down 35 cents or so in the summer, which is unheard of. Usually they go up 15 to 20 cents a gallon for all the travelers because they love to hit them when people are moving around the country with their families over the summer vacation. So we appreciate those coming down. A lot of prices are coming down despite what they say. That misinformation highway is alive and well on the other side. And all the other things that President Trump has implemented with the other countries and the leaders around the world coming to the table to negotiate for one reason or another. I know they're trying to stop that now with tariffs. I don't understand it. I don't see why, if we're trying to move the needle in a positive direction for America, anyone in America and any agency would want to oppose that action. But here we are. They're opposing it nonstop. And of course, Elon, he finished his day out, his 130 days today. For those who said he's getting kicked out or argument, whatever, he had 130 days. It was the day he came in. We all knew it was 130 days allowable for that type of position and that role. He does have a life and many other companies to run, and now probably put back together after all the vandalism and criminal behavior that has gone on from the left against his companies, the dealerships, the privately owned dealerships, I might add. And so he's got a lot of work to do to rehab that circumstance. But the Golden Dome, we are fortunate not to have been under those types of attacks, since 9/11, of course, and that doesn't make us immune permanently. So I think that it's great that our government is looking forward for our protection, not just abroad, but really here in America. We have a lot of things happening that we don't know are right under our noses inside this country that have been allowed to infiltrate us over the last 4 years or so. And I don't think people realize how grave that danger could be actually here in our homeland. The medals of sacrifice that he awarded law enforcement officers, amazing. We don't talk enough about that either. We talk about our veterans. I do. Law enforcement officers, they get a bad rap too, but the majority are amazing people also putting their lives on the line for their community members every single day. They do not know who they're pulling over. Everyone carries a gun. The criminals, of course, do. And we see that they're attacked in the streets all across America. So we should honor them whenever possible. We should thank them too when we see them. Some of them who are also veterans, right? So they just continue to serve us just selflessly and at their own peril. A lot going on with the White House, the one big beautiful bill. I'm not sure if I'm going to weigh in on that as far as positively or not. I think that the DOGE cuts need to go into effect before they start throwing back money into a bill. But my opinion, hopefully they will implement those as Elon and his team have put together for the country to cut that waste, fraud, and abuse, not just on paper, but in real life. So we'll see if that really happens. So it's been a great show, you guys. I appreciate you joining me always on Friday. We're here every Friday at noon. We say an hour, but it's a little over today. And we don't like to cut anyone off because whatever people, they give us their time. It's important what they have to say. That's why I try to bring them their resources I think are important to share here and across the country. So please, if you didn't watch and you just see on Patriot_Mom007, one of our links, our show, hit the share button, please. Of course, like, follow. Also, I would appreciate the subscribes so I can continue to bring you, what I find to be important information for the kids, the trafficking, our juveniles, the system that we work under, and so many other issues affecting Americans across the nation. Also, always want to thank Robert, my producer. He's with JData. You can find him on X and Facebook at JData17. Catch all his live streams, of course, on Arizona Live Data. But as I know, Robert, I'm finding out there are so many more channels that I just didn't even know about. So get on JData 17 on Facebook and X. Check out his links because he brings you real life stuff in real life time. No edits, no censors, as it's happening in California a lot of times. And you can see in your communities what's taking place at these board meetings, from water to education to law enforcement, but in your communities, what's being said. And it's going to affect you guys who live in all these communities. So please check that out. And also, if you'd like to learn more about today's guest, Dr. Khanna, you can find all the resources and links that are shared at the descriptions on all my channels at Patreon_Mom007, Facebook, Instagram, Truth, Rumble, YouTube, and on X, it is PMom007. Please always do remember to get involved, get educated, because if you don't know the challenges faced in your community, you cannot do anything to affect them positively, not for your friends, your family, certainly not your area in general, your state, and nationwide. We do need to get on board, I think, with each other to affect positive change across the board ultimately. Next week, you guys, is D-Day on the 6th of June. It's on a Friday, so we are going to continue our veterans tributes. It is very important we don't forget any of these heroes throughout the years, as far back as D-Day and beyond that. We're going to continue to highlight their service to our country, to us specifically. We're going to have a couple of Marines on with us. I met at the gala last weekend in San Diego for with the Combat Veterans for Congress event. We're going to hear what they think about what's happening these days in the military and their involvement, where they have been, what they have seen, and really just their thoughts on D-Day itself. So I wish you all a beautiful weekend. I look forward to seeing you again next Friday here on American Perspective with me, Patriot Mom 007. And with that, Robert can take us out.